I was approached and asked to be introduced myself to the history of one of the blessed from Germanic countries in Austria. So I should either start with Grüß Gott or Herzlich Willkommen. However, we need to look closer for the example how we as the creation of God are individually responsible to recognize, evaluate, and appreciate the gift of a bread of life. What does that mean? That means that we are not going to be safe as a group. I'm very happy that in America we changed even the words of creed in I believe. And it's extremely important to emphasize that, because we are not going to be put into the bucket as the group of people and be judged by the weight of our collaborative faith. We will be responsible in the end of time for our individual behavior, our good and bad deeds. Individually judged by appreciation of a gift of Eucharist, sacraments, and especially people around us. Love thy neighbor as yourself. We learned that very early of our lives. We've been taught that from grandmothers, especially. Because I'm Polish, I can say that the matriarchs are always grandmothers. They're always right. And they will teach us the history. Something that I truly disagree with recent events around the world, the cancel culture, that tries to erase the history instead of learn from the history. Are we created perfect? No. Are we created to be perfect? Yes. And that's the difference we have to recognize in today's readings. The graces we receive daily, even though, as we've heard in first reading, the hardships of everyday life sometimes is overwhelming, and we ask God to take us away. But I wanted to introduce you to, as I mentioned in the beginning, to Austria. And then maybe I'll briefly take you to Poland, since we are in Europe already. In Austria, beautiful southwest on the Bavarian border, those three cities there. One, it's St. Radegund, the other, Braunau am Inn, and third one, Linz. You know what those cities are? One is well known for Blessed Franz Jägerstätter. The other one, for even more famous in negative way, Adolf Hitler. And third one, it's Mr. Eichmann. All Catholic, baptized, received the first communion. And we would think they all were equipped to be a good people. One was murdered by Nazi because he refused to enlist to the Nazi army. He was a little bit like myself, rebellious. He did not like to follow the stream. At that time, he was murdered in 1943. Austria was in the voting process of being incorporated into Germany. And he verbalized his no against Hitler and NSDAP party and their cancel culture, we can call. Because he was begged by the family to finally change his position, to save his life. He wanted to show what is truly important in our lives: the Eucharist and life eternal. We might think we can get out of a trouble in many ways and on many occasions, but ultimately, we're going to be judged by God. And He sees everything. We want to ask, what happened to the other two? I think that they seeked God in themselves. Their prayer life was non-existent, and they were, like Jesus called today's Pharisees, murmured. How I can find a hole in that story? Maybe it's a better resolution for me. Maybe I'll be more famous if I'm going to do a Third Reich. Maybe I will be powerful and I'll conquer the whole world. That's, my brothers and sisters, a faulty path. Wherever we recognize that we are worthy of anything, the worthiness comes through the blessing of God. I keep telling my parishioners, the everyday miracle that we experience, we don't appreciate enough. Not only the Eucharist, that it's offered among the diocesan parishes every day, but the gift that we undervalue, the gift of life. Each day we go to bed and fall asleep. We don't know if we're going to wake up. If we woke up, were we grateful to God for another day? Myself struggled with health for a long time, and I want, being first time behind the camera, to thank all of you that prayed for me in 2013 as the one dying priest. And I will tell you, I appreciate much more now the gift of walking. The doctors told me I will never walk. The gift of life, because they claim that I have only 4% to live. And I appreciate the gift of Eucharist, because watching the Mass on the TV, I didn't have strength to reach my hand for consecration. Therefore, touching the body of Christ, I truly believe that I'm touching real Christ, not the symbol, not the image, but the real body. And I want to share that enjoyment with you as a priest. As you know, we are, as Catholics, attacked from left and right for being too conservative. Father is ultra-conservative. And I respond, no, I'm Catholic. There is not such a thing as liberal or conservative Catholic. Catholic should be a Catholic. Accept all the conditions that are incorporated to the faith given to us by God. And Mr. Jägerstätter gave against the advice of many a witness how life eternal is more precious than present life. Therefore, whatever we do, whatever we say, we need to aim toward the Eucharist, toward final judgment, and especially loving a neighbor as yourself.